I shot this video a couple days ago on how to smoke a spatchcock turkey, and then in the process of editing it, there's a couple of things that I noticed I wish I would have done a little better job of highlighting. First of all, this turkey was freaking amazing. It was so good, and when I'm done doing these videos and cooking for hours and hours, I'm usually kind of like wiped out, had a few beers, and I just kind of want to start eating. So I've noticed that in a lot of my videos at the end, I don't do a really good job of highlighting how good the barbecue actually is, but frickin' A. It was so great. My wife doesn't even really care for turkey, and she kept going on about how good it was. The breast was moist and delicious. I hate being on camera, especially eating, so, but tell you what, it was awesome. The flavor was off the chart. It was one of the best turkeys I've ever made in my life. I keep saying that. It was great. So you'll have to check it out at the end. You'll see what I'm talking about. I think it's kind of funny when I go back and look at it myself. The other thing is that the part where I crank the temperature up to crisp the skin was awesome. First of all, I got the temperature to about 425 degrees, and it ran at that temperature for a good solid 10 minutes. And with that little bit of olive oil on the skin of the turkey, it was almost like air frying or deep frying the skin. It came out so crispy and nice, and it was amazing. But the other thing that was super impressive is that I've accidentally run temperatures that high in offset smokers before. I know in my other offset smoker, and when I did, I burnt the paint right off the firebox, and then you have to go back and scrub it and clean it and respray it with paint to prevent it from rusting and everything. It was kind of a pain in the neck. What really surprised me was that in this Char Griller Grand Champ XD, the paint wasn't affected at all. It handled the heat so good, and so I thought that was kind of impressive. But really, the other thing is that just getting the temperature that high on an offset smoker is not something that's that easy to do, really, to do it and still control it. It's something that I wish I would have shown the steps a little bit more of, so I think I'm going to do that again in a future video and just upload that part for you to see. But it was a lot of fun, so it's a nice skill to be able to learn to do. Anyways, hope you enjoy this video. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you. Hey, welcome to Tony Tone Barbecue. I'm Tony, and in this video I'm going to explain and demonstrate how to smoke a spatchcock turkey in an offset smoker using natural splits of oak wood, and in the process I'm going to share some very valuable fire management tips. We're working with a Char Griller Grand Champ XD offset smoker. Step number 1, prep your smoker. That means build your fire, create a coal bed, and preheat your offset smoker. Don't rush this part. Prepping your smoker properly sets the stage for a great cook with fewer temperature management problems and great smoke quality for best flavor. So we're going to be smoking this bird using splits of natural oak wood, but we're going to preheat the smoker and build a coal bed using lump coal. I like to start off with lump coal because it's super easy. I just fire up one chimney full in the Weber chimney charcoal starter and dump it in. Add a couple small splits of oak on top of that, and we're good to go. Plus, Packer likes it. So in this smoker, I always position my fire to the right side closest to the air intake, and that leaves me enough room to be able to put a few pieces of wood on the left side right next to the cooking chamber on standby. So these pieces of wood will get really, really hot, so they'll light on fire and get a good quality clean smoke as soon as I put them on the fire. So now that I've got my fire built in there, I'm going to go ahead and close up that lid, close up the cooking chamber lid, and just make sure the vents are wide open on both ends, so we'll get this fire burning nice and clean and hot. Okay, so the smoker's preheating, and notice the thick white smoke that's coming out of there. We don't want that. As this thing gets hotter and hotter, that white smoke is going to go away as that fire burns cleaner and cleaner. Now remember, we're going to be cooking in the area of about 250 degrees, but during the preheat, we're going to bring the temperature way above that. I recommend taking it up to above 300 degrees and then letting your wood burn down until the temperature falls to 250. Then you're ready to cook. Okay, step number 2, spatchcock and season your turkey. You can do this while your smoker's preheating. If this is your first time smoking a turkey, I recommend keeping it simple with the seasonings. Maybe just go with some salt, pepper, and garlic. Really nice, great way to go for a first timer. Or season it with whatever you want. All right, this bird is seasoned up and ready to go. I just stuck with salt, pepper, and garlic. Temperature is now close to 350 degrees. This thing is preheating. As you can see here, the smoke is looking a lot cleaner. It's a lot thinner and has a nice blue hue to it. So we're gonna let this thing keep burning down until the temperature starts to fall and gets to that 250 degree range that we're looking for. See, got a nice coal bed going here, and that is one of the most important components of having a successful barbecue. Is you want a really good coal bed there. Other thing is you want to make sure that your next piece of wood that you put on that coal bed is really nice and hot. That's why I like to stick them over there to the left inside the firebox of this offset smoker. If you can do that in yours, it's a really cool thing to be able to do, because that wood will light on fire almost instantaneously and burn clean right away. Another thing you can do is you can stick your next piece of wood right here up on top, put 2 or 3 up there, and let them get nice and hot by sitting on top of this firebox. That'll work too. But you want that wood to be nice and hot, and that's gonna burn nice and clean for you, so you're gonna get that great smoky wood flavor that you can get from an offset smoker. Step 3, add the bird to the box. When your temperatures come down to around 250 degrees, you've got a nice clean smoke and a well-established coal bed, it's safe to go ahead and put your turkey in the cook chamber. Right now, we're at 260, so let me let you have a look at the coal bed. There it is. You see there, that coal bed is pretty small, but it's still putting out a great amount of heat, and we've got new wood ready to go on. Matter of fact, that's so hot, it's actually putting off a little smoke, so I'm going to get that out of the way. I'm going to get it on the fire here in a second. I've got this turkey positioned right in the middle of the cooking chamber, and you notice I've got it probed up here. I'm using a ThermoPro Bluetooth wireless, semi-wireless anyways, thermometer here. I've got one of the probes inserted into the breast over here, and I've got another probe inserted into the thigh over here. That way I can monitor the temperature of both of those sections from this device. We can close it up now and then get back to working that fire. So I just put it in, and it's 1 o'clock right now. Step 4, and this is the longest step. That's just going to be managing this fire and running a nice clean burn through the entire cooking process until the turkey reaches its target temperature. We're going for 165 at 250 degrees, so it's going to take some time to get there. We'll see how long that takes. But at the end, we're going to crank up the temperature to 350 degrees so we get to crisp up that skin a little bit before we take it out of the smoker. So let's get some more wood on the fire. We've got this nice hot piece of wood here. We're going to set that there and see how it lights instantly. And we're just going to carefully add enough wood whenever necessary based on the temperature. We're going to run a range of 250 degrees, and it's okay if that temperature falls down to 225. It's okay if the temperature goes as high as 275, 280, but it's going to have an average of about 250 degrees. So we're going to cook this turkey nice and slow and let it get lots of great smoky flavor from the oak that we're burning today. So now's the fun part. If you did your job properly and prepped your smoker the right way and got that coal bed going nice, all you got to do from here on out until the turkey reaches that temperature of 165 internal is just keep an eye on the temperature of your cooking chamber and add wood as necessary. You should be running a nice clean smoke the entire time. So, you know, if you've got a wireless device like my ThermoPro Bluetooth thermometer, it's kind of nice because you can just kind of cruise around the house, whatever, and do whatever you want to do. Kick back, relax, watch some games, drink some beer, have a good time, and just come out and add a piece of wood every now and then whenever it's necessary. In this rig, it's usually about every 30 minutes or so, give or take, just depending on conditions. If the wind picks up, that kind of screws things up a little bit, and add a little more often. But really, it's just about kind of keep an eye on that temperature, let it drop down to 225 before you add a piece, let it get, it'll build back up to say 275 or so, and then settle on back down, and you'll be crossing back and forth over that 250 range. And just keep watching it until it's time to take it out, and hey, piece of cake. This is the kind of smoke you're shooting for during the entire cook. What happens if you run dirty smoke for a little bit? Hey, if it's just for a few minutes or a few seconds, even better. No worries, don't worry about it. You know, it's gonna happen. But for the most part, this is your goal. This is what you want to run. Nice, clean smoke. Just do your best. Run the cleanest fire you can so you get really great flavor. Especially with poultry, which is kind of delicate. You want to make sure that you do your best to run the cleanest smoke that you can, and that way you get a really great tasting bird. The offset smoker question that is always asked, and one of the most difficult ones to answer, is how much wood do I add? Well, that's going to depend a lot on your offset smoker, how big it is, how thick the metal is, and also the weather conditions. But when it comes down to choosing the size of a piece of wood you need to stick in that box, well, you kind of just have to get to know your offset smoker and start understanding your conditions, and then you make that choice. You make that selection based on all those different factors. Now, I'm not a big fan of buying the bags of chunks that you can get from the hardware stores. I also don't really like buying the bags of logs that you can find sometimes, although they're kind of hard to find. I prefer buying firewood from a firewood distributor. A lot of them will put aside wood that's good quality for smoking and cooking, and you know, usually they come in big chunks like this. Now, a chunk of wood like this is not going to be appropriate for this size smoker in any condition. It's just too big, and all it's going to do is create way too much heat and way too much dirty smoke, and it's going to really ruin your barbecue. So I buy these though, and then I cut them down, and I just use a chop saw and a hand axe, and I like to create various sizes. And you can see here some examples. I've got some short, fat ones that are only about 4 inches long, and some of them are kind of thick, some of them are a little skinnier. I've also got some longer ones here, some really thin, long pieces. I like to make sure and actually create a variety of different sizes so that I can choose a piece of wood that's going to help me accomplish my goal and maintain the temperature that I want. So here's some more examples. So the big fat ones, they burn longer and they put off a lot of heat. So I want to be careful about when I use a big fat one. If I have a nice established bed of coals and it's burning really nicely, one of these works great for putting on top of an established bed of coals. But if the problem with one of these though is by the time it burns down, that bed of coal might be burning down also. So then that's why it's nice to have a few very small skinny ones like this little guy here. This will put off a lot of heat really fast, but it'll burn down really quickly also, and that heat will drop quickly. So if I combine maybe a little guy like this and a nice thin piece like this, another little skinny one here, here's a nice longer one that's also really skinny, I can recreate that coal bed really quickly, and then I can throw on something that's maybe a little bit thicker and heavier like this guy right here. So the downside of using a thin little piece like this is the temperature is going to crank up really high really fast and then fall back down really quickly, and all that's going to take just a few minutes, and I'm going to need to be adding more wood. But these big ones, well, they'll burn a lot longer and I'll have a more consistent temperature for a lot longer. So I might put this one in and let it go for half hour, 40 minutes, 45 minutes, and I'm good. And then have to rebuild a coal bed with a few little skinny pieces like this, and 10 minutes later have to go and throw in another big piece, you know, like this. So that's it. You just kind of have to get to know your smoker and get to know and understand your fire in that coal bed. So just make sure you have plenty of options. Even a big fat guy like this is usable as long as, number one most important thing, before you put any of these in your fire, get them hot. You know, you can put them on top of your firebox like this. Get those out of the way. And you can also, in some cases, keep them inside your firebox like I do on mine here. And then when it is time to add, you just break up your coal bed a little bit there like that. Grab one of these, put it on there, and it will start burning right away. And you will maintain a nice clean smoke and stay in that temperature range that you're shooting for. Oh, don't forget to add another backup piece. Just don't burn yourself in the process. So after you add a piece of wood, how soon can you close the lid? Well, generally, I usually close the lid right away. And yes, it'll burn a little bit dirty for a few seconds, but not to worry about it, especially if you got a good quality offset smoker. Like this one actually sucks the air in from the side when you close that lid up top. Because of the airflow that's created, it's going to draw air in and get that fire burning even hotter and keep that smoke clean. So in this case, it's actually a good idea to close that lid and let that fire kind of blow and get nice and hot. I'll open it up and let you have a look. It's burning nice already. So that's it. Step 5, time to crank up the heat. So it's 4:30 now, and this turkey's been cooking for about 3.5 hours at an average temperature of 250 degrees. And the turkey's within 10 degrees of our target temperature of 165. So if I keep cooking the turkey at this temperature, it will reach 165, but the skin will be kind of rubbery. Turkey skin really needs a temperature of at least 350 degrees to render out the fat and make it more crispy. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add some thinner splits of wood and a few bigger ones too, and really crank up the temperature to anywhere between 350 and 400 for the duration of the cook. Okay, we're up to temp, and it is time to get this turkey off of the smoker. Let's have a look. There she is. Now, one little tip, when I do crank up the temperature, I like to baste it with either a little melted butter or a little olive oil. Just helps crisp up the skin a little nicer. It's looking gorgeous. Let's get this off this smoker. Okay, we've got a 12.5 pound turkey. Put it in the smoker at 1 o'clock. Came off at 4:45. Let's carve into it and see what we caught. There's a beautiful leg right there. And let's just go ahead and cut right into this breast. Beautiful. And let's just take a big bite of that. Well, that was fantastic. This bird came out really great. The breast is juicy and delicious. Flavor is off the chart good. The skin is crispy and delicious. Super happy with this. This is a great, easy way to make a Thanksgiving turkey or just enjoy turkey at any time of the year. So thanks for watching. I hope this has been helpful to you. And don't forget to subscribe and like. And thanks for being here. Take care.